Alright, so we're right in the middle of restoring one of these 7 bikes that I got the other day that was sitting in the guy's front yard. 5 of them are Viragos and 2 of them are Suzuki's. And so one of them is a 96 1100 second gen, and these are the Carbs. So I brought them inside, I'm taking them apart to clean them, trying to restore the bike. So I'm down to the Carbs now to try to see if I can get this bike to fire up after it's been sitting in the yard for so many years. And I run into a problem. So I've got all of the bolts loosened up, but I always start, when I'm looking at the Carbs, I start with the air fuel mix needle. So you can see on this Carb over here, if I put my screwdriver in, it's free and it turns. And so I'm about 2 turns out, something like that. But over on this Carb, because it's been sitting out in the rain, all of the debris gets down in there and it starts oxidizing the carburetor. And guess what? This needle is stuck. And so it's not moving at all. So I thought I'd make a real quick video here of how to try to get one of those out when it's stuck. And that way you avoid having to trash these carburetors or get new carburetors. So had some pretty good success in the past, so we've worked out some ways to do it. So right now the thing is just stuck, and it's not moving at all. So first thing you got to do is get you a screwdriver that has, you know, the slim on it, so it'll fit down in there, but then you have to grind on it and get it to where it just fits into the flat of the needle. And what you want to do is have it just wide enough that it fits in there. It's not loose, wiggling around, because you're really going to have to work to try to get this needle out of here if you can get it out. A lot of times you can get them out, but don't keep knuckle dragging on that thing, because you'll strip it out and then you're done. You got to drill it out, or you got to do all kinds of crazy things. So we're going to give it a try to get this one out of here. So first step, get your screwdriver, blunt it off, and kind of check it and test it. Make sure it's not loose in there, so it's got a good feel in the little needle. Then next up, we want to get some WD-40, and we're going to put some WD-40 in there. So we'll fill it up with WD-40 like that, and wipe that little bit extra off, because now we got to do something to get that WD-40 down into the threads. And so in order to do that, just go get you one of these little bitty lighters that has a little flame that kicks out. It's like a little torch lighter, and so you can see it puts a flame out pretty good. What you want is to heat up the side of this right here and expand the aluminum, and it'll contract back once it cools. Do that a couple of times and you might be able to get that needle freed up. So we're going to heat it up without heating up our little pipe right there. So we're going to heat this up on the sides of it, and you'll probably burn the O-ring out, but who cares if you can get the needle out. You can always replace that little O-ring. So we want to heat it up right where the threads are right there. Nothing else inside of there really. We want to heat it up. And if you start seeing little bubbles coming up in your WD-40, you know you're doing something. Alright, so we heated it up. It's pretty warm, so I can heat it up a little bit more. I'm starting to see a few bubbles come up in the top. If you don't see any bubbles, it's no big deal. You just got to keep heating up. You don't want to get it super hot, but hot enough that you can hold your finger on it. It's not too bad. Alright, so now comes the trick. What we got to do is, with the WD-40 in there, heat it up a little bit. We're going to try it. But you can't push real hard, because you'll strip it out. But what you got to do is just see if you can move it one way, then see if you can move it the other way. And if it's not moving with any kind of force, because they're real easy, then you risk stripping it. And so it's still not moving. So let me get the heat back on it again. There you go. And so all you want to do is just keep working back and forth until you can see that thing start moving. If it'll ever break free, you can start working it out. So here we go. We're working. That's just the wiggle of the screwdriver. I don't have it quite as big as the thing, but I can see that I'm actually starting to get a little bit of movement. And I can actually feel it in the screwdriver. So it's starting to move. Ah, there we go. So now, see, it's starting to free up. And so at that point, if you can just get it to wiggle back and forth a little bit, just keep wiggling it like that, and that's going to clean those threads out. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. The pipe may be in the way, you can't see it. Tip it up like that. So yeah, so it's starting to move now. And so you can see I can get some turn on it. And that thing was locked solid. And I can actually hear the spring starting to go ting ting. So what I want to do is just keep wiggling it back and forth like that. I'm not seating it, I'm just turning it back and forth where it was before. And I want to try to just keep pushing that envelope, making it bigger and a little bigger, and just keep trying to get those threads cleaned out. And so you can see now I'm up to pretty close to a half turn there, and it was stuck solid. So once it gets to moving, you have a pretty good odds, if you don't strip it out, that you'll be able to get it out of there. So you just have to keep walking back and forth. Then eventually it'll free itself up. And you can see now I can turn it. You can hear the spring clicking. And there we go. So we were able to save that carburetor. So now I just got to get it out of there. Alright, so with a pair of tweezers, now that we got it pulled out of there, we can reach in there and grab a hold of it and see if we can get it out of that hole in one piece. And there we go. So there is our little needle. And I can zoom in there. And as you can see, the end of it is all oxidized, and that's where it was stuck. And then the threads have some shiny spots in them right there. So by heating it up, I was able to get the threads to pull out, and it looks like it's still in good enough condition that I can reuse it. So there we go. So that's usually where I start. And as you can see over here, this one's free. It doesn't hurt anything to put a little WD-40 in it. So we'll just drop a little WD-40 down in there and take him on out as well. Yep. So there you go. Well, I hope that helps somebody and might be good. Hopefully you'll see the video before you strip it off, because once they're stripped off, then all you're going to do is fight. But with a little bit of heat and a little bit of patience and grinding off the tip of the screwdriver, a lot of times you can get them out of there, and then you don't have to scrap your carburetor. Well, alrighty. Well, thanks for watching.